See, I think I'm live everywhere now. Let's see. Definitely live on Instagram. I think I'm live on Facebook. I think I'm live. Hey, look, and there's like people here already. There's like lots of Bill's here already. Somebody sent a request to be in your live video. I don't even know what that means. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Friday, and welcome to Pâte. And we're going to hang out here a couple minutes so that people have a little bit of time to join. And then who's that? Coolie Candy, hi back. That's cool. And so everybody knows I'm doing a couple things today. I'm trying to do Instagram and Facebook at the same time, so it's a little disconcerting because I'm looking at a lot of screens at once, and we're gonna do what we've done the last couple times. Hopefully we fixed the Wi-Fi. I spent a bunch of time on the phone with our IT department the other day, and I moved some stuff around and routers and that kind of stuff. So hopefully in the kitchen we're doing a little better. And also, for those of you that have joined us before, you see I have an earbud in because my friend Mike is on the other line here, and he's telling me the questions that I can't read because I've reached that point in my life that I can't read screens that are more than 6 inches from my face. So if you have a question, either Facebook or Instagram, feel free to type those away, and we'll do our best to answer those questions. Either I'll answer them or we'll type an answer on one of the platforms. So we'll try to answer your question both verbally, both places, but we'll try to answer them type on one of the platforms. Our marketing team's also at home. So for those of you who don't know the story, we're generally working from home. Tomric is here because we supply the food industry in North America. So we have customers like Wegmans Foods, who's a big customer for us, and we work with some of the chocolate companies that are sister companies, and so we're here for that reason. And although our sales team is working from home, our operations team and those of us that support our customers are working from the office. And needless to say, we don't have quite as much to do on the culinary team, but we're trying to do some stuff, fill some time. So today we made sorbet for our teams for Friday ice cream day. No ice cream because there's no milk, but we'll get to that later. Maybe we can be persuaded to make gelato next week. And then we were spitballing an idea about a week ago about wouldn't it be fun to do some talks and demonstrations online for people that are at home without a lot to do. So this is where this came from. So last week we made ganache. We made a strawberry rhubarb ganache that is on our website now. I think it's on our website, right, Kyle? Hint, hint. No, it's definitely on our Facebook feed. You can get to it there. And then on Tuesday, when we had some Wi-Fi issues, we did some tempering on the marble and doing 3D molding. Today we're making pâte. Next Tuesday, what we're going to do, we're going to definitely do 3D molding. So we're going to, in honor of it being Easter week, we'll mold a bunny or two, probably. We'll do something. I don't know what we're going to do yet. But we're going to do that on Tuesday. And the chocolate on Tuesday is courtesy of our friends at Lumber Chocolate. So they've been really supportive of us through this whole thing, and just want to say thanks for all the support that they've given us through the years too. So today we're going to make pâte. What do you think, Mike? Can I start? I'm talking to Mike in my earbud and see what he thinks. It's the RCI tuning in. Hi, Angie. Hi, Nidhi Varma. I'm trusting Mike's pronunciation because I couldn't read the screen. So anyway, today we're going to make pâte. Again, I have failed and did not get a recipe to our marketing team ahead of time, but I have one right here that I'll get to Kyle, and Kyle will get that up probably on Monday. Hint, hint, Kyle, thanks a bunch. So today we're going to make a raspberry pâte. For those of you who don't know what pâte is a jelly that's a little firmer. It'll hold together so that we can actually cut it, and then we can use it that way. So it also is a great item if we wanted this layered ganache on top of that pâte of fruit. It's a really nice thing to do. And then we're going to make it. And so that's going to be hopefully about 20 minutes. And then we're going to show you how to chablis on the bottom. We're going to put a thin coat of chocolate on it so that we can do things with it. And then we're going to actually cut it on the guitar. So the guitar right here. So that's the plan if all goes well. We're doing raspberry. We're using raspberry boron today. Thank you very much to my friends at Boron for their support as well. And then we're using a pectin mix from our friends at Burke Candy. I think that's all my NASCAR plugs for the day. So I have a kilo of puree in here, which I don't know if you can see, but it's bright red and beautiful and smells delicious. I have it warming mostly because I wanted this process to be a little faster for the demonstration. Normally I can just put the sugar right in there and then warm it up that way. So I have a kilo of puree. I have about 802 grams of sugar. I have 85 grams of my pectin mix. I have, in this case, glucose, could be corn syrup as well. I have 481 grams of that. And then I have about 4 grams of a 1-to-1 citric acid solution back there. So my sugar, everything scaled is correct. I'm going to add my pectin to my sugar, and I'm going to mix that up. I do that so that I make sure that it mixes correctly in my puree here. Wow, this smells wonderful and it's warm. I miss warm. It's so cold here in Buffalo. I mean, it's been nicer the last couple of days, but it's not quite spring yet. So I'm going to add that to my mixture. I'm going to make sure that it combines completely, that I don't have any lumps of sugar in it. I'm actually using a heat-proof spatula to do that. Wow, look at that. It only took like 4 minutes for me to get a raspberry on my jacket today. Unusual. Usually I make it to like 8 minutes. So, anyway. Hey Mike, I think that's my mother-in-law that just said hi. It is Debbie. Hi Debbie. How are things in Oklahoma? It's probably warm there, because I'm complaining about it not being warm here. So I did have this heating. I had it on about half power, just warming up. So I've now turned it up to almost full power so that we're not here all day. And my mixer is already about 151 degrees. The recipe that we did yesterday in here, we discovered that we needed really to cook this to about 222 degrees. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let this warm back up, and then I'm going to add my corn syrup, or in this case, glucose. So the other thing I'm going to do too, I'm going to warm this slightly, because it's been sitting on the counter all night. So it's a little warmer, so I'm just going to put it in the microwave for like 10 seconds. Or 20 seconds, since that's what I said to do. Mike, really, nobody's got anything for me? Nothing at all? Cool. Is that my wife that's watching now too? I'm looking. Are you watching Facebook or are you watching Instagram? Or both? Ooh. I'm reading a question from Instagram that says, where do I get my raspberry puree? I use boron puree. Boron was very generous to us when we built our facility, and they stocked our freezer with lots of puree. But not just for that reason, they also make a really great product that I've used throughout most of my career. I mean, there's obviously a couple people that are in the freight business. Most of them are European premium products. But Boron is definitely a leader in puree, and this stuff's great. And they source their fruit from all over the world. It's low sugar, lots of flavor. Really, this is, it's like I feel like I'm sitting over the raspberry bush, to be completely honest. This is wafting up into my face. So, anyway. So that answers that question. So I answered the question on my own, Mike. I don't know if I need you anymore. Mike just said that it's impressive, and thanks, Mike. So, oh, I need you, Mike. And so for everybody at home, sorry that I couldn't figure out how to flip the Instagram feed so that I'm not backwards. It's easier to watch it if it's mirrored. But it says Tomric in the background backwards. So anyway, a couple quick things too that I'm doing today. You see me taking a quick temperature this way, where I'm using a laser thermometer. When we get sort of into what we really need to do, I'm going to use a probe thermometer. I'm going to use a probe thermometer because I need to really actually see what the temperature of the product is, and that laser thermometer is only giving me a surface temperature, so it doesn't give me an accurate enough temperature there. So we're at about almost 200 degrees. We're looking for 222. So I'm actually going to add my glucose down. The reason that I'm doing it in stages is that if I were to add all the cold ingredients at once, it just takes forever to heat up and get to my temperature that we want. Sticky glucose. Do that later. Thanks, David. So Mike was telling me that David Jordan says thanks for doing the demo, and thanks for watching us today. That's super cool. So anyway, we're going to do Tuesday. I mentioned we're going to do three-dimensional molding. I mean, we are a mold company, so I should do something that is kind of where we are, our core competency. But we haven't decided what we're going to do next Friday yet, so we're open to suggestions about that. Somewhere along the way, we need to redo the demo about slab tempering, since we had some technical issues. And so we may do that next Friday, but we'll see if there's something else that comes in mind. And I will be honest with you, we were doing Pâte today because my sassy 11-year-old at home, when she was watching the other day, calling it school hours somehow, I think, because it was informational and informative, said she wanted to see Pâte. And I think she only wanted to see Pâte so that I brought it home tonight, but we'll see. We're going to have a bunch of it. Sorry, Mike. I'm now talking to Mike. Sorry, Mike, there won't be any for you in the office, because we're going to eat it all. I'm going to give it to the guys in the back. So who knows when you're going to be back in the office too. Which leads us to shelf life. One of the cool things about shelf life of this product is it does have a really extended shelf life. As I drop my whisk on the floor. So that because it's the moisture's gone, so your water activity is down to next to nothing. And so, sure. Okay, I'm trying to read it, but I can't read it. Yeah, because I learned from a chef that did it that way. So the question is, okay, there I did it again. Like Mike asked me a question, I didn't respond. So the question is why I put the pectin together the way that I put the pectin together. And the question was about some chefs add a little bit of sugar, a little bit of pectin, they add it to the puree. A lot of that has to do, and versus what I did, which was I added all the pectin to all the sugar, and I added all the sugar to my puree. Yeah, some of it has to do with the fact that that's how I learned how to do it, right? So I had a chef teach me to do it that way. And you know what's funny, by the way, everybody? So I set up this nice little set, and I set up all the things that I need to do, and I neglected to get a tray with a silpat with a rack to put it in. So I'm going to do that right now while we're talking. Well, while I'm not talking, I'm going to go and do it. And then, so I may disappear for a second, because I forgot to set something up. Because the beauty of like live, doing things live. Okay, so it wasn't a big deal the way that I did it because everything was warm, right? So I'm more worried about the process and how long this process is going to take, right? I know that it was a good amount of pectin, so my pectin's going to mix in nicely because my puree is nice and warm, and I made sure that it mixed in nicely. So I don't know if that answered the question, but I think some of it really has to do with who taught me how to do it. I first learned to make cassoulet in a hotel, and we used to use this product that was like, you never took the temperature, it worked every time, and I don't know what it was. I mean, it was a pectin mixture, but we would it didn't matter the puree, you added a certain amount of sugar per kilo, and you added a certain amount of grams of the pectin mixture to it, and it just worked, as long as you brought it to a boil. And we would test it on the marble. Like we would take a little bit of spoon and we would spoon it on the marble and see if it would congeal and it would set up. And if it did, then we were good. And with that, there was sort of less of a concern. But anyway, I don't know if that answered the question, or if I wandered too far off the trail, but we're gonna, hopefully, we did okay. All right, so I have my handy dandy thermometer. And this is one of those recipes that I work in Fahrenheit, because I get asked that question a lot, do I work in Fahrenheit and Celsius? I work, I actually work in both, surprisingly. I work in Fahrenheit when I mostly work in sugar. I work in Celsius mostly when I work in Fahrenheit when I work in chocolate, I work in Celsius when I work in sugar, but for some reason with Pâte I work in Fahrenheit. I don't know why. So anyway, we're at about 219 degrees already, and we're looking for 222, and we need that 222. When we reach that 222, we're going to turn the heat off. We're going to mix in our citric acid, which ultimately sort of breaks down some of those bonds of the sugar that's been building. A lot of what's going on here now is that we're getting rid of all the moisture, right? I mean, you can still see there's a decent amount of moisture, but it's a matter of time, right? So this is the process where we're going to pay attention to it, and we want to not burn it. All I'm doing right now is you can't see it, but I'm scraping the puree off the side of the pot so that it's all in my gurgling beautifulness. And I grabbed the camera, but I grabbed the phone there, but I don't think I could ever get it back in the holder where it is. And I definitely wouldn't be able to get the iPad back if I reached over the counter and grabbed it. So anyway. Mike has a question for you, and Mike actually just got on Instagram. Cool. Awesome. Fire away. Hi, Ruth. So it's a question from Ruth. Ruth is a good friend of mine from up north, up in Canada, and has come down and helped us with some classes. And was my teammate when I commuted Pastry Live, what seems like only days ago, but it was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. Ruth, we're getting old. But anyway, Ruth has a question. Yeah, okay, so Ruth is asking about if we're going to do layers. So the pâte fouille is 222 degrees. It's smoking hot. So we can't pour that on top of anything else. Right, so normally what we would do is we would pour that pâte fouille first, and then we would allow that to cool. I usually wait till the next day, but not always, it depends. Depends on production schedule and those types of things. And then if I'm doing a ganache, I'll pour the ganache directly on top. So I don't know if you saw it when I was scrambling. I've got a stainless steel frame. This one is about 10 millimeters, so 1 centimeter tall, because I have to go back and forth from metric to imperial. We'll pour the pâte fouille in this frame. We'll then cut the pâte fouille out of the frame. I'm going to show you how to do that in a little bit. And then we put a taller frame on top of it, and then we pour our ganache into that taller frame. Okay, so this recipe is calibrated right now for, it's calibrated for a 10 millimeter frame, really designed for pouring ganache on top of it. If I were to do pâte fouille by itself, or a jelly by itself, I would go to either 15 or a 20 millimeter frame, just so there's a little more there, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think that 10 millimeters or a centimeter is enough product. You'll see it when we cut it, how thin it is. Having said that, I mean, there are people that do 10 millimeters is enough on their jelly size or their pâte fouille size. It's really about what you prefer. Normally what we'll do is if we're gonna put a ganache on top, we'll then completely coat them in chocolate, right? So we're gonna use, we're gonna robe them. If I'm gonna do them just by themselves, I'm gonna use just sugar. Coolie Candy's asking, what were the solids in your puree to begin? Can you start with juice? So it's a full fruited puree. It's 20 bricks, right? So there's a solid ratio there. I don't know that I have a good answer. You can start with just liquid. A lot of it has to do with the amount of pectin you're going to need to add by what you're brixing back to. You know, for me, I'm not going to brix this at the end because I know that this is going to work at a certain temperature. Some of that is a little bit of trial and error for me, but also some of it is the pectin mixture that I'm working with. Generally, if I get it to a certain temperature, I'm able to, it sets. Like we did this recipe, we use this product with powdered iced tea mix. I know, goofy. But anyway, I wanted to do like an iced tea pâte with a lemon ganache because I thought it would be nice for the summer. Wasn't bad. Wasn't my favorite, but it worked. So, you know, there was no liquids. You know, so we're there. So we're at 222.5. So we've reached temperature that I wanted to be at. A little over, we'll be okay. So I'm just moving everything over for our friends on Instagram so they can see everything that's going on. So at this point now, I'm going to add a citric acid solution. I'm going to make sure that's fully incorporated into my mixture, into my jelly. So I looked at my watch. How am I doing on time, Mike? Am I doing okay? That's a good point. I have a Zoom call at 4 that I have to take. And then another Zoom call at 4:30. So I heard that Zoom is like hacker delight these days. That's what I heard. But what do I know? All right, so my pot is here. So it is going to flow decently, but I want to start in my corners. So I'm going on the outside as I deposit this. And remember, this is smoking hot, so we don't want to stick our hand in it. It's a 10 millimeter, Mike just asked me about the frame size. It's a 10 millimeter stainless steel frame, which may or may not be available from Tomric. You know, I am a little NASCAR driver like. So we're here. I don't know which way's better. This way's better, right? Everybody can see it there. So we're to the top, and it's hot. The other thing I'm actually using a stainless steel flat tray. If I go into a a standard aluminum baking tray, it'll work with the heat. So you'll get unevenness. So I had these stainless steel trays made for that purpose. They're also great for ganache just because they stay perfectly flat, which is really nice. So anyway. So flash forward a little bit. This is the batch that we did yesterday. So this is firm at this point, but I still will have problems moving around because it's still a little sticky. So we're going to chablan the bottom of that. So the chablan, we're going to put a thin coat of chocolate on it. So when I first learned sort of how to do this, I was taught, we use tempered chocolate, we get it super thin, and then we go, the second it sets, we go right to our guitar. My friend Anil. And then we figured something out, that if we put chocolate in temper and then warmed it up 2 or 3 degrees so that it still had some of the properties of crystallization, it would stay soft and it wouldn't crack and it wouldn't break your guitar strings. So what I've done, I don't know if you can see it, there's a tempering unit over my right hand shoulder. I put that chocolate in temper. The crystallization point was like 87 degrees. I then let it come down to crystallization and then I took it up to about 90. And that's where it's sitting right now. It's at like 91 degrees. So it has some properties of temper, but it's not going to crystallize super strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chablan the bottom of that with that chocolate. Mike is asking me a question in my ear. Yeah, I mean, recipes are going to be formed. So the question was, what kind of pectin did I use? Was it yellow pectin? Could use other types of pectin. So as you formulate recipes, right, your pectin is going to matter, right? So they're not going to be seamless. right? So I'm using a blend of a couple different pectins. Like I said, it's a product from Pâte. It's a commercially available product that works the way that it works, right? And we go from there. Hey, Mike or Kyle, people are requesting to be in my live video. I don't know what that means. Can somebody help me out with what that means? And we'll talk about whether we can do it later. Maybe when we're done, we can all have a conversation if that's what that means. So, super thin, right? My offset spatula. I've left it in the frame because I'm not worried. I'm happy to let the chocolate come outside of the frame. And I can crack it off and save it for later. So, many, many moons ago, I took a class with the great Norman Love, and I'm hearing him in my ear right now telling me, touch it once, Brian, and be done, as I'm like playing with my chocolate on the bottom of it. I'm just trying to get it to crystallize a little bit. I'm taking my excess off. So that's going to sit there for just a minute or two. Mike, anyone got anything for me? Like I'm in that, like I need fill time. Okay. Got it, thanks. Because we determined the other day that I am a technological Luddite. And I don't know how this newfangled technology works. Like, I'm impressed that we got figured out how to do both feeds here. Pretty cool. I heard that I missed a spot. I don't know where I missed a spot. Did I miss a spot here? Did I miss a spot there? Where did I miss a spot? Oh my ganache? My past three? Who knows? Okay, so it will. You are right. So the question was, why did I cover it in chocolate and not just sugar? I could have done that too. Normally what we do is we then would put a ganache on these anyway. We completely encapsulate them in chocolate. So that's kind of why. And part of it too is for the process here, it's just going to be fast for what we're going to do on the next step, which is on the guitar. So there's a little bit of functionality here, and there's a little bit of, flavor issue. So we're doing a little bit of both. Okay, so I have my offset spatula. I do not have a paring knife in my hand because I want to cut this out of my frame, but I don't want to cut the sill pad. It's one of the chef's pet peeves, cut sill pads. And we have a lot of them here, cut sill pads that is. Okay, so I'm just going to come along. And I'm just cutting along right next to the frame on my jelly. And I hear Mike about to ask a question right here. I think I can. Like he comes off mute. So when he wants to ask a question, he comes off mute. He takes this like deep pause, like this deep breath, and then he asks a question. So he has a question for me. So what's the question, Mike? Slightly, but generally with the boron puree that we use, it has 10% additional sugar. So can I ask the question out loud? The question out loud was, do I have to alter the recipe for different purees? Generally what we do is we have to alter the temperature a little bit. The different purees, because it's the sugar content, and we could be testing for bricks with that, and my friends, my fancier friends than me, so Nicholas and Chris and those guys are taking bricks readings to figure out where that sweet spot is. They're doing some of that calculation before. I'm a little bit, I said I was I'm a bit of a neophyte on some of that stuff. So I'm not as technologically savvy as those guys. So a little bit of it, we do a little bit of trial and error. But generally speaking, this recipe works with goals of 10% sugar-free purees. Okay? Yeah, so what we'll do is we won't let it set as much. We'll coat the bottom with sugar when we go to cut it on the guitar, and then we'll coat it once they come off the guitar. We coat it. We completely encapsulate it in sugar. Okay, so there's the pretty shot. There's me pulling my sill pad off, and we have a slab of pâte fouille. Really nice. Take some pâte. It worked. It's my great fear one of these days that like we're going to do something that doesn't work. I have a lot of fears. We have our peel. It comes with our guitar, and because we did that thin coat of chocolate, it's super easy to pick up. I'll pick it up here, and then I'll slide the guitar over so you can see what we're doing on the guitar. So I'll make this go away. Slide the guitar over. I'm still here. I'll make this go away. And then we're going to take our slab and put it directly on the guitar deck. We did this one, I did it yesterday afternoon. So it was like 24 hours, but usually you don't need that long. I'll do them in the morning, and then I'll make them in the morning, and then I'll cut them in the afternoon. So the one trick on this is make sure that it is all the way to the front of the guitar. So in theory, I'd be working right here, not where I am. I wouldn't be going this way. I'd be coming towards me. This is the wonderfulness of the Instagram portrait. Oh, did I ask the question that I answered, Mike? Mike asked me how long from when I made it to when I cut it. So I'm going to bring it all the way to the front, so it's sitting on there, and then I'm going to use even pressure. I'm going to cut through. I've got a little bit of scrap on this one, just because I didn't put it on real straight, sorry. And then I'm going to go underneath. And take it off the deck. Open it back up. This is important. We're gonna get rid of some of that junk that lands on our strings. There's a little bit of chocolate, there's a little bit of jelly. It's definitely more inclined to happen when we're making pâte fouille than if we're doing ganache. Just not as clean. And it's going to slide right off. I don't know, Mike, can we see like my face that it's red right now as I like having challenges? Or am I like, can nobody tell? Nobody's saying like, hey, what's up with that? Yeah. My chocolate was actually probably a little warm on the bottom. It's not crystallized as much as I would like. That's why it happened. But not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. it's still going to cut. So somebody just asked what's up with that. My chocolate is not crystallized enough, so it was sticking. So it was sticking to the peel a little bit. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to matter. Yeah, people should say that to me. They totally should say that to me. So anyway, so at this point now, we're cut. I'm over here looking for a sheet pan. And a piece of parchment paper. And now I'm back. And so these pieces then come off one by one. We'll separate them so they dry a little bit. And then what we'll probably do is we'll probably enrobe them on Monday. But anyway, so our marketing team said that I didn't have a big, or somebody said we didn't have a big finish when we did our ganache last week. So big finish. Yum. So thanks everybody for joining us. That was Pâte by Brian. And we'll have that recipe up on our website probably on Monday. And that's about it. Thanks for joining us today. Are we doing good, Mike? It was 35 minutes. That's what we said, right? Cool. Well, thanks, everybody. And then, once again, feel free, if you have questions for me, I think my Instagram, Kyle's got my Cooley Candy's asking if you can go directly to the rubber. Not a preference. I want them to dry a little bit. They're just really moist right now. The centers are really moist, and so that will sometimes create some problems with the tempered chocolate. Anyway, Kyle's got direct, I think he's linked this to my Instagram page. Feel free to follow me on Instagram and ask questions there. Also, I'm available by email, which is bdonaghey, D as in David, ONAGHY @tomric.com. Also, I think you can get to us through our Instagram page, our Facebook page, Tomric, and our website, Mike, right? People, I mean, and you can still call us 716-854-6050, and we can answer questions, or if you are looking at equipment, or if you just are bored and want to talk about, what molds you're going to use for the spring, we're around. So that's what's going on, and appreciate you spending some time on your Friday afternoon with us, and we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Tell your friends, share our posts, 3-dimensional molding. It'll be great. It's chocolate. It's way easier than sugar and temperatures and Brixes and technical stuff. So awesome. Signing out. Thanks, y'all. How do I turn this thing off? I know how to turn this one off. See, I told you I'm a Luddite. I don't know how to turn these